Hi. Okay, we're going to talk about preserving your sexual energy or semen retention, as some people like to say. And I can't say this is more for guys than it is for girls. Uh, it's actually for both. Well, depends if you're uh, want to hear this, but it's important for everybody. And basically, I spent a long time, many years, like masturbating and ejaculating because it was a dopamine hit. And I wanted to escape from this inner neurosis and discomfort via this Tourette syndrome and chronic pain. So, mm, basically, what happened over the years is I realized, fortunately, somewhat early, in my early 20s, I was reading a book from India. At the time, this wasn't very widely, this knowledge wasn't widely accessible. But fortunately, that's changed now, 20 years later, and there's a lot more people that are getting hip to this. And there's all kinds of forums and groups and stuff that talk about this because people are starting to realize the toxicity and the negative effects of masturbating and ejaculating. Technically, ejaculating is with masturbation is worse than if one was to just masturbate and not ejaculate. That's called edging. That's another subject. Um, but I'll tell you this much: when I was doing this every day when I was young, God, I wish I, re- I wish I never did it before. I hope somehow I'll meet like a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old that watches these videos and that for whatever grace, good karmic reason, this resonates and they don't fall into the same trap that almost every other person does because the power and energy and vitality and clearness of mind and sharpness and level of consciousness is just this is actually, if I gotta see, all the tools are important, but if I had to single one tool out, the self inquiry is not it's a tool, but it's on another level. But the other five tools, if I had to single one out, this would be it, you know. But again, they all work synergistically together, and so if we're not doing the other things, chances are we're not going to be able to do this. But my point is the benefits that come from this is just outstanding, man. And it's like when I was indulging in that habit, I was just weak. My will was weak. My complexion looked pale. My eyes looked tired or sunken in. Um, I had mood swings. I couldn't think straight. I was dull. I would sleep more. I didn't feel like exercising. My capacity to meditate or do any spiritual practice wasn't there. I couldn't remember anything. I'd get mad at people quicker. I didn't have compassion for people. I was more self centered and selfish and self absorbed. And it deteriorated my health also. It would be nice one day, maybe 6,000 years from now, when we're in golden age, that if there's some physical elements or health issues and somebody goes to the doctor, that this is one of the questions they ask. This is how important it is. Um, See, I stopped that when I was in my early 20s because, again, the motivation of having already an imbalanced nervous system and the suffering effects that came from that. And so when I read these words that I read, I think the first book I read was from Swami Shivananda, And he really broke it down in a way that I just got it. So I pretty much stopped ejaculating. I mean, I averaged maybe once a year. Now in my life, I don't ejaculate at all, whether I have sex or not. I don't want to. I instinctively didn't want to even as a teenager. I remember, and my girlfriend asked me. She said, "Why didn't you ejaculate?" I said, "I just didn't want to." I couldn't articulate at the time, but something inside didn't want to. It's like because I felt like when I was having sex with her, I'm absorbing her energy by default because we're exchanging energy in the most intimate way that you can and while we're in these physical bodies. But at the same time, I was keeping my energy. And so I realized that. And I was just full on afterwards. I pretty much wasn't hungry. I didn't have to sleep hardly. I mean, I was just energized, you know. It's like somebody plugged me into the wall and I just got energized. Remember that movie with Jason Statham? I don't remember, but he had a heart problem and he had to constantly get adrenaline, and otherwise he'd die. And so then he ended up, they're out in public and he had sex with his girlfriend because it was an emergency. And then the Japanese all on the bus were watching. And it was a good movie, actually. What's the point? Oh, so I was just full on, man, and so that experience got downloaded, and I didn't forget that, but I was still deep into lusting and edging. I would still objectify women when I looked at them. I would look at their body parts, and I'd get a hit from that, and I'd get a dopamine hit. And I would still watch pornography, and I would still masturbate, but I just wouldn't ejaculate because I was addicted to that dopamine hit, and because I was trying to escape the inner turmoil inside and the physical agony that I was in. So I was just using that as a way to escape. What ended up happening though after that is I just started my health started breaking down, and it was a result of this lusting and edging, even though I wasn't ejaculating. Now it took longer. If I was ejaculating every day, I'd probably, I don't know, man. I don't know, I'd have been in really bad shape. But at some point, my nervous system, I could just feel it. It was getting ratted out. And my sleep started to I was just a nervous wreck. I couldn't sleep, and I was just really edgy all the time. And I said, okay, it's time to give this up too. I had to give the mental. You see, when I stop ejaculating, or even if I stop having sex, or even stop watching pornography, we can say that's like I'm physically clean, right? But this continues. The mental level's the hardest one to give up. I remember I was going on some forums, and like the NoFap forums back in the day, and they're talking about, yeah, don't masturbate. But their motives of not masturbating was so they could get more girls, because they discovered. Let me let this truck pass, because I don't know if you can hear me good. So their motivation for stop masturbating, they realized that they would get. You would have more life in your face, you'd be more attractive, you'd be more magnetic, more charismatic, and so then they would try to use that to get the girls. So mentally they weren't free. When you're free mentally, you're not, that's still a subtle form of lust, you see, and that's still burning up energy. And a lot of these people, if they get some time free of masturbation, then if they're in the lust, it's just a matter of time before they physically start acting out again or masturbating. But I understand. I mean, I'm not a hypocrite. I've done all this stuff, so please, no judgment. I'm just sharing the different stages so that then the person who's listening, you can put yourself in whatever stage you're in and get better, if you want to. A lot of people aren't willing. They just don't want to. They want to still enjoy this stage of their life. And I totally understand that because that's what I did. I tried to do it as long as I could. If I didn't have this health situation, like I said, my life would have been much different and probably not so good. I'd have ended up in prison or jail or just died or, I don't know what would have happened. So being clean mentally from this lust and edging, this can take a little more work and discipline and the other tools that I've shared on help support that, because we're talking about, on some level, transcending the second most strongest instinct we have as a human being, the sexual instinct. It's very strong. The strongest instinct we have, self-preservation, the will to stay alive. And you see how strong that is in people. It just kicks in. Like, nobody wants to die aside from those who are really suffering emotionally or mentally and they take their life. But the average person, even average animal, just look how hard they fight to survive, no matter what. So that's a very strong instinct. Well, the sexual instinct's the second strongest, so it's also very strong. So we're talking about transcending that. And it's not the instinct's not bad. I mean, the Creator put that in us, otherwise this planet wouldn't be populated. But this whole biological thing about being attracted to the opposite sex, for most people, that's very strong. And then this is where the lust is born, and the pornography and masturbation and all that, because all this energy inside is just crying out for this to satisfy this urge. So yeah, again, I wanted to give an introduction. We can talk more about being clean from this urge physically and mentally, depending on the questions I get, because I don't really know what there's so many angles and things I can say. So I need a question so I can so I know what to say. There was one other thing. Anyway, so I think that's good for now. I think that was a good enough intro, and so I'll see you in the next video. I'm enjoying making them now. I'm a little more comfortable, and I feel like it's flowing better, and it's just gonna keep getting better the more comfortable I get. And when I start to get questions, and we're gonna have a good time, because I'm not. I remember what I was gonna say. I'm not judgmental about anything. I'm not saying anybody should do anything. This is for people who are interested in what I'm sharing, and who want to have experience this level of being and existing, because we should, before we die, we should experience what it really feels like to be just feel clean, So, okay, I'll see you soon.